Now, as you probably know, I focus on the importance of recognition of greatness on a day-to-day basis. And so perhaps it might surprise you that one of the things I think that's most important in business today is efficiency. Now, those things perhaps don't seem on the surface that they go hand in hand, but in actual fact, they do. Because you see, the number one thing I hear from my clients about why they struggle to build recognition into their day-to-day work is that they are too busy, that they have too many competing priorities, and they have no way of being able to build in sustainable mechanisms for recognition. So what if in fact you could find efficiencies in your day? What if in fact you got rid of the things that mattered less and you focused on the things that mattered more, in particular, your people? And what if you didn't feel the burden of the weight of a to-do list that you never get to done? Are you with me? Would that not be amazing? Because the problem with burnout is we feel hopeless. We're not using our most innovative or resourceful mind to be able to process other alternatives. And frankly, we get so focused on our victim status of being stuck that we don't have really anything left to give to be able to see the greatness that's happening all around us. So let's focus on efficiency so that you can find maybe some of these tools and strategies to pull more into your world. And therefore, by using even just one of them, you'll have that much more capacity to think about, to be visible, and to acknowledge the greatness all around you. Here's the first thing that I did in my business that it was the best small investment I ever made, and that is to leverage technology for efficiency. I have a couple of systems that I use. One of them is Calendly, but there's all kinds of scheduling systems out there. In other words, if people want a meeting with me, they book into my calendar. And I love it when being able to book into somebody else's calendar because it's so much less time than back and forth emails. If you can free up my inbox of a few emails, I am happy, happy, happy. But also, have you ever tried to get a whole bunch of people into a meeting? Well, that's why a system like Doodle is so great. That individuals map out all of their availability across a whole bunch of different dates and times, and then you pick the one that's most convenient. The number of interactions that reduces that are not actually building in terms of relationship oriented, but that is just detail, oh, it's a beautiful thing. That's the first thing. Number two, do the most important thing at the very beginning of your day. My wonderful virtual assistant has blocked off my time until 9:30 every single day. That allows me to do two things. One is that I'm able to get enough sleep and also be able to slowly ease into my day. Whether I happen to wake up at 5 in the morning or 7 in the morning, I have time to get a good breakfast, to get a time to have a bit of leisure time, spend time with my family, and then also being able to start think about work and do one thing minimum for my business and for myself before I then go and give my own time and resources away. Now, some of you may be thinking, Sarah, that wouldn't work for me because my time is not my own, I work for somebody else. Well, I guess I would say two things to that. One is, I get it. The question, if that's not working for you, you know you always have choices to not work for that person or to work for yourself. But perhaps more importantly, do you have to go to every single one of those meetings that you go to? Meetings are often, and I didn't find this out until kind of the last few months of a job, that my previous job, is they don't always need you to be there. Oftentimes we have this belief that if we're on the agenda or if we've been invited to a meeting, we have to go, but you don't necessarily have to go. Unless there's an action, unless there's a specific role for you, unless they're clear what they need from you, maybe you just start saying no and see if you're actually needed. And for me, for my clients, I'll say no to being at a meeting in person unless I absolutely need to be there, because we can do so much through video conferencing and phone that we don't actually have to be staring at each other across the room. The next thing I would say is annually review what you're doing in your business and make a conscious effort to cut out 15% of the optional things. Every single year when I do my business planning, that's the same time I evaluate my time. And I only allow myself to have 3 core projects a year. Man, that's tough. I love to do so many different things. In fact, when I'm not being creative is when I like my work the least. And yet, if I'm not disciplined about only doing a few things really well, I don't get hardly anything done, and then I don't like the projects that I'm working on. The next thing that I would recommend to you is consider having 2 to-do lists if you like to-do lists. One is your 5 minutes or less jobs, and the other one is the other things that you need to do. Because one of the ways in which we waste time is we review our to-do list and we decide which one we're going to do. We may have run out of that 5 or 10 minute window in the time it's taken us to evaluate it. Instead, have your 5-minute list. You got 5 minutes, you ended that meeting early, you ended that phone call early, hop over, the first thing on the list, just get it done, bam. And then finally, block creative and thinking time. Know that that's as important as your producing time. In North American culture, I even hear more so even in Eastern culture, we're moving towards this belief that if you are not producing, then you are not contributing. When in actual fact, we do our best contributions when it is both. I hope you found this helpful, whether you work for somebody else, whether you work for yourself, or whether perhaps you're even a student trying to figure out how you get it all done with so very little time, not enough time, that you found this really valuable. In fact, why don't you share it with some people that you know are working incredibly hard and deserve to enjoy their work and their life and their leisure more if they were able to do just a little bit less and more efficiently. My name's Sarah McVanel. I hope you subscribe and come back every week, either subscribing through my website, greatnessmagnified.com, or YouTube, because I want to keep adding value to you so that you have a great life and work.